Peter Hill, welcome to this episode of Power Up Your Business podcast, mate. Great to have you on board. This is your second edition, second run through of being on the podcast. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Matt. Nice to join you again.
Yeah, and this is a really cool podcast, this one, and really great story. And it's essentially around apprentices. And it's about how we as business owners leverage the power of apprentices. And you've done some really great work over the last 12, 18 months with your team and your young team specifically about really getting them up to speed, building confidence in them, and ultimately letting them go. And some of the results that you've got, which we'll talk about through the course of this podcast, is absolutely sensational, which is definitely admired by, I know, a lot of people in our Q Performance community, but just in general. Now, what about just share, and we often talk about, we have great conversations about the trades, and we all grew up as tradesmen, and when we were apprentice, don't talk. Just basically, when I was doing my apprenticeship in the 80s, had a South African boss, there's no way I was going to talk back to him, number one. Number two, I wasn't going to stick my head up because I'd probably get it knocked off. It's just like work. But what do you think in the trade game now and in the construction game now, what do you think is a bit of the stigma around, say, apprentices, or a bit of that cultural thought process around that, look, I was an apprentice and basically just sort of grab a broom? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I completely disagree with the notion that apprentices have a negative impact on your business. Over the years, we've had terrific results with apprentices, and you got to see it as an opportunity to grow yourself. You're going to see them. That makes you have a look at yourself and all the behaviour and your actions. These young boys and girls that often start with you, you've got the chance to shape their young adulthood and hopefully make a difference in their lifelong lessons they're going to take from you. There's so many that all they've had up until you start with them is their school teacher, their football coach, or their netball coach, and their parents. So all of a sudden, they've got another adult or adults in your team to look up to and take advice from, and they'll follow along. The influence that you create for them.
And that's the whole thing about within the environment that you're building and the values and the culture that you're building. And we see a lot, right, where within your organization, as you mentioned before, you're shaping an individual, you're giving them skills and lifelong skills and principles that they can take on with them. Yeah. Well and truly, long after they've left your organization. And the key thing that a lot of business owners fail here is they actually fail to realize from a mindset point of view that they have got an individual that they can shape and that they can actually build confidence in. Because a lot of the apprentices that are working right now, they're coming back to what you're saying. They've come through a bit of their childhood, and they haven't really been given the confidence, or no one's really patted them on the back and said, "Hey, you're good at this." Often, a lot of apprentices just fall into the trade because they weren't good at school. So generally, some of them have had 10, 12, 13 years of just being in the bottom grades or
mediocre.
Yeah, mediocre. Yeah. They've never actually they've never had the spotlight shined on them for the right reasons. It generally has been the negative. And we've got an opportunity to build them up, build the new skills in them, confidence. And one of the key things that we talk about, right, building them that mastery where they're actually becoming really competent within themselves. One of the things we're seeing now, and a lot of people now, and obviously the government's really pushing to get the apprentices on board. So we've got a lot of subsidy. So, and I hate seeing it where a lot of people are putting apprentices on basically to make a bit of money. They're happy just to get this apprentice on. They're getting subsidy, and essentially they're having someone there that again will just dig or push a broom, as opposed to having that mindset where I've got a young person here, young individual, that how can I, and as you mentioned before, how can you challenge yourself? How can I, as a leader, as a mentor or a coach, grow this individual? And so this is the challenge now that I think a lot of people are facing across the board, especially in the trade space around Australia, is how do we build good, skilled labour internally rather than externally? And we talk about that, the war on talent. But coming back to it, so how have you challenged your mindset over the years? And Pete, coming through generational business, you were taught by your dad, was very much work head down. How have you had to evolve your leadership, especially with this new generation where they want empowerment, they want support, they want guidance, and they want recognition? How have you had to really change your leadership?
Well, you go into it with a positive mindset, and you go into it with a mindset that then not every day is going to be roses. There's going to be some tough days having an apprentice. Being a leader, you don't use an apprentice to go back to the way your apprenticeship was. You kind of have a chip on your shoulder. You got to wash that away and just have a plan for them, have a bit of a training plan, and also have targets that you want them to meet year on year or every 6 months. Have a target of where a first year should be, where a second year should be. Help them out from day one. Have things, they won't flourish if you don't put time into them. The simple things such as the first day you're with them, they should have some lists. You expect them to unpack your truck and get the right tools. Well, you're expecting someone to come in with know exactly what a nail gun is and what kind of case it is. So how about you label it for them on the outside, have a nail gun written on it, have a spot with the truck, nail gun, so they can put them away. Just help them out, right? We use if you might have a couple of vehicles, we write the number plate and write the number, what tool it is. So help them out from the first moment, give them confidence that they're putting things in the right spot. They can't be confident if they're second guessing every action they do and then they get yelled at. Because we're all guilty of having every now and then just blaming the apprentice, but often it's a good chance to look at yourself and your team, of how your team operates, to plan ahead and be, coach them along the way. Like those kind of things that we do.
What you're talking about there and touching on there is that, and how we frame it within our community, business performance mindset, where what you're doing as a business owner, what you're seeing, you're taking accountability for. So in other words, if the apprentice doesn't understand something or doesn't know what the tool is, you take ownership of it and state, well, I've got to train them better, or maybe I need to give them a checklist, or give them some photos, or give them some extra time and attention so they get it. Whereas what most tradie business owners do in the trading mindset, they'll blame the individual. Why don't they get this? I haven't got time for this. I'm paying this guy money. It's wasting my time. You know what? Just forget about the tool. Just grab the shovel and just keep digging. Right. And it's essentially like, as we frame, it's a bit like treating him like a mushroom, keeping him in the dark. Don't give him any information. Don't give him any nourishment, as you say. You keep them in dark, no nourishment, and you expect them to continually flourish, which is never going to happen. And too many people, and I've heard so many over the decades, so many business owners pretty much state, oh, look, I'll wait till this apprentice, becomes a tradesman till he's any value. And they fail to realise that if you don't start nourishing them as a first year, you're never going to get any value out of them as a tradesman. Correct?
Yep. 100%. From 6 months onwards, but early on, you can get good results out of them for basic stuff. And the first 6 months is an attitude test. But this was the first year, obviously, not a second. Second year, we'd have a different benchmark. The first six months with a first year, it's all about attitude and teaching them the work environment and your culture in your business and what you would expect, or your behavioural standards that, if you might be one-on-one with the apprentice for 5 days a week or 4 days a week, but they're going to take everything that you're teaching them on. So
unpacking it then on that. Sorry, mate, just to jump in.
Yeah,
unpacking it there. So let's just go through a bit of a process. We've got a first year on, and breaking down like the first 6 months. So this first 6 months really targeting attitude, coming back to the way we do it here, which is all about our values, and it's all about them buying into our expected and desired behaviours.
Yep, correct.
And getting them to really be part of and believe in the culture and what we're developing.
Yep.
And so what are some of in that first 6-month period, what are some of the things you'll implement with them to test them on that?
Well, turning up on time, all those kind of things that you want to, the little markers that we all take for granted, you just hold them really, really important in that first 6 months. Attitude, walking, how they walk. Are they walking just to walk, or are they walking and get that? Are they focused on what they're going to get? Those kind of things has a big influence on how you're going to train those people too, and how much effort you're going to put into them. If you see them walking completely focused, if they're shuffling their feet, you're going to shuffle too.
Yeah.
But if they're determined and walk with intent, you're going to. It's hard not to be attracted to that. Yeah, and help them achieve.
I like that word intent, right? I like that word intent. Just go get that tool with intent. They get there, get the tool, they come back.
Yeah.
And with intent, clean the truck with intent, clean the smoko shed with intent, rather than just sort of shuffling around. Get in and get it done. Turn up with intent. And as we say, if you're not early, you're late.
Yep.
Do they pack their lunch? What's their sort of food like as well? Like get an understanding of what they're like outside of work as well, which obviously impacts their performance on the job site.
Yeah, 100%. Going away to get lunch twice a day is no good for anyone. Their hip pocket, or their health, or your health. Driving up the road every day, twice a day, doesn't really pay well either.
Yeah.
And it's disjointed. You got no momentum in the day. So those kind of things, attitude, presentation.
Yeah, presentation is massive. And what about then too?
Look awake.
And then what about that test within the first 6 months? Obviously communicating within the team and also getting feedback from your leading hands and your key team members. But what do you look for in terms of communication and working as a team player?
Yeah, from day one, you're always talking to the people around them, because you can't be there all the time. So you're staying constant contact with people working with them, and find out how they're performing, their attitude, all the things that behind when you're not there, they might slacken off a bit.
Yeah.
And that just goes down to the culture that you've got in your team. If often they're going to get tagged along because the culture in it, I know our team, we've got this belief that every apprentice that comes through, we want to be better than the last one, because the bar just keeps getting set higher and higher, and the performances are better. And the more that first year can do for the second year can do act as the third year. And their learning's just off the charts kind of thing by doing that, by that pushing. Yeah.
I love that. I love that, having that. We want every apprentice to raise the bar on the previous apprentice. And again, it just flows up the chain where there's an expectation of productivity. So after that first 6 months, then rolling into the next, they're coming up to 12 months, 18 months, and rolling into the back end of the second year. What are some of the tests, and really getting them really skilled up then on the job site, right? Really getting them quite technical. How do we start? What's your investment in time and energy and focus and money to really start to ramp up their skill level, to really start to ramp up their confidence level as well? And as we all know, when you learn and you start become a master, you really start to enjoy what you're doing as well. So what are the key tactics and training and areas that you're really working within your organization to improve and develop your apprentices?
So it's not just myself. Often it's the other apprentices pushing this training regime, you call it. We make little videos and how to do videos and all these little technical things, such as setting timers or how to fit off certain thermostats or contactors. Just a little video so they get that confidence of not having to ask every time. So straight away, there's they're just doing things, and you get that satisfaction of, have you got that done? And then you go over and check it, and it's all right. That straight away, that gives them, like you said, confidence. And it just, confidence breeds confidence. So they just, they enjoy it, like you said. They enjoy it more.
Well, they love it. They're getting pats. They're getting pats on the back. You're focusing on the good things that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the key thing there, though, you're setting them up for success in the way that you're giving them reference material, training material, videos that they can actually reference. Often in the tradie mindset, you shout at someone to get it done, then you come back and you can't believe it's not done. Whereas most people don't understand, as your learning capacity, a lot of people don't learn auditory. They need that visual or the other reference there. Again, you're doing a great job of taking ownership of, if you understand it, you've got to provide the content, the material, and the support for the apprentices.
Yeah, and they help. They have suggestions too. The current first year we've got this year made a few suggestions for a few like certain ways we do some things. He said, "Oh, that'd be good to have for when we put someone on next year." So it gives him confidence teaching that. So you don't just give them the video and off you go. You got to teach it the first time and go through it thoroughly, and then you show them where that video is located as well. And then they can, next time, they can do it by themselves at their own pace to learn. Not with you over the top of them, with your phone, on the phone, trying to talk to someone else and then watching them do it. So it's much more comfortable way to learn for them.
Yeah. I just want to double back there, because you said something that's really powerful, and that's the culture that you're building within the organization, where you said that the first year has come up with suggestions about when he's a second year and he's going to train the next first year, how he's going to go about things. Now that there is awesome, right? That there's culture, and that's what we talk about. You're breeding it internally, where as a first year, because he's getting so much contact from the second year in the training, they're seeing what the process is, and they're seeing a journey for them that they know, oh, cool, when I'm a second year, I'll start to be a trainer.
100, yep.
And when you, as we all know, when you start teaching people, that's when your knowledge goes to another level. It's amazing when you start to teach people, your knowledge goes up. And again, then your confidence just keeps on growing.
Yeah, 100%. So obviously we're coming to the end of the year now. We've got a second year and a first year, and I kind of just shadow them a bit, and I just keep my distance a bit from them.
And just explain what you, when you shadow them, just explain how you undertake that.
So I guess it's a bit of a combination of be far enough away for them to get stuck and fail and make mistakes, but be close enough to help them fix it. And that's I'll go to a job site. I try to, if you're going to expect a lot from people, you've got to give them a lot. So I feel like in our training, I try to spend, I'd say 2 days a week with the apprentices in some capacity training, and every day I want to make one item that we train. Either I train them or they train me.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you're getting them to train you and to talk through it,
which really puts them on the spot. And all of a sudden they've got to think, whereas before they've been told from here to here, do this, do this, do this. Or then when you ask them, okay, I'm here, what do you want me to do? And that's kind of how, if I've got a meeting or something, I just want to come in, turn up and go, okay, what do you want me to do and how I'm going to do it? And I try to pretend.
Just explain some of the things that you'll ask them to do, whether it be like a rough in or a fit off. What's an example?
Okay, I was going to run a power circuit for a kitchen. I turned up and said, okay, what's my job today? And they said, I've drilled out this kitchen circuit for you. Okay, well, where am I going to run it? And I just got no idea. But pretend I'm a first year. Tell me how I'm going to do it. And I let him go through it, and there was some item here and there was a few hiccups, and I said, okay, well, just next time, just do this a little bit differently, and maybe you could do that differently, because the next person might not be as adaptable as me.
Yeah.
It might not be a an apprentice that's done it for 20 years. It might be an apprentice that's done it for 1 year.
Yeah.
So
Or six, yeah, that's right.
So just little things like just drilling when they're drilling and stuff, just drill it really easy for someone to follow. So they're not spending 5 minutes to try and get a cable through. If you drill it the way we've spoken about, and then give me the layout, and it threw him off a little bit, but that's when you learn.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's when he said that to me. He goes, "You going through that with me, kind of rattled his cage." I wasn't at him, but it just made him
aware.
The rest of the day, he was thinking about it.
Yep. So you've gone through the little details there, because you mentioned something that's very obviously detailed, which is about, as an example, drill in a straight line, or make sure it's drilled clean, so the conduit fits in there clean, and you're not having to, make sure they're all aligned or the same height, or
exactly.
And they're the 1%ers that can drive efficiency.
They drive the efficiency, but in particular with productivity, you're in and out. It's faster. It's a better job. And it's so much easier if the foundation's set.
100%. And now look, it's a big commitment that you make, right? 2 hours or 2 days, roughly 2 days a week, you're spending time with your apprentices. And now you enjoy being on site. You would do a great job of mentoring. You've got that good demeanor as a coach, as that mentor. And now, and a lot of people will often say, but Jonesy, I haven't got time to do that. Whereas they're not seeing the value in, by doing that, the investment in that time, the return that you're getting, Pete, over a long period of time is amazing. And some of the stories that you've shared with myself and obviously with our community, that you've got second-year apprentices there that are basically outperforming tradesmen in terms of their delivery, their output, their productivity. They're doing things quicker than you can do it.
Yep. Quality, yep. All as per our processes, and they know them better than myself. Like some of the things that we do and how we do it, they pull me up on it and just smash it, to be honest.
Just to listeners out there, the numbers, like in terms of, because the whole thing is it's great talking about the team and productivity, but with Pete, and with what you've done in the financials is there, right? It's on your scorecard, it's reported in terms of the low wage costs, like in terms of relatively not a big team. This is what I want everyone to understand. Pete hasn't got a big team, but his output is huge. What they get through is huge. And again, we're not saying, I just want everyone to be clear here, this is not working massive hours. This is not working overtime. This is not working weekends, right? This is just absolutely coming back to intent. Every hour that we're working between, say, 3 and 3:30, Monday to Friday, there's intent there.
Yep.
We're minimizing slippage or wastage, or it's just like the intent is there and everyone's operating at a high level. You don't need a big team to get high output. And what you've done with that investment in the apprentices and their skill level, their cohesion, their confidence level, their understanding, their thinking as well, their critical thinking has gone to another level. And it's just amazing. Like, let's just talk about, wasn't that long? Let's say 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, there's no way you'd be thinking you'd be getting through this output with the number of team members you've got on now. No
way. No. We're probably down to team members and what we've had over the years. I'd say turnover's up 20% or something like that. So down 20% and up.
A labor dollars down 20%, and then it's up 20% on turnover or productivity. So there's essentially like a 40% gap there, as it were, in terms of that, the drive, or nearly a 50% increase there. When we look at it from an operating a wage cost perspective, it is through the roof in terms of what you are achieving with a young team. And coming back to it with that young team, and we all need to appreciate we've got a new generation, right? The new generation, they want their recognition, they want buy-in, they want to know. They want to know what's the purpose of what we're trying to achieve here, which is a lot different to our day. Agree? And as you mentioned from the get-go, you've got to forget about the old way, and this is the new way. We've got to buy into it. And I often say to to business owners, they'll say, "Oh, bloody apprentices or the new generation." I say, "Look, if you don't want to deal with the new generation, shut your business down,
Yeah,
because it ain't gonna happen for you." Now, what's your take on with the new generation and what you're tapping into? What do you really see that drives them and inspires them? What do you think they're really looking for?
To work with independence and confidence, to have progression, like our first year saying next year he'll be the trainer, he'll be the second year, he'll be upper level. That progression means a lot to them, I feel. Having a purpose of what they're doing as well. Why are we doing these things? Because we work for these customers and that's what they expect, and we promise them we're going to do all these things. That's kind of the discussions that we have. And they want to be proud. They want to be proud of what they've done more than I've ever seen. They all want to be. This generation seems to want to be proud of everything they do, and they're all playing with forward drives and stuff like that now. And who's got the nicest forward drive, the lift or whatever? They're all proud of what those little things that they can show for.
Well, you think of it now, like I just look at it now. They're proud of their appearance. They're proud of the community. They're proud of whatever they're supporting at the time, whether it be environmental or cultural or race. They're definitely a lot more enthusiastic, and they want a voice. And the great thing that you're doing, you're giving them a voice and allowing them to channel that within the organization. And talking about from before, where a lot of them, they want that, but they may never have had that before in their previous experiences, where within your organization, you're allowing them that voice, you're giving them that confidence to flourish. And I just love that word flourish, right? It's not about being the best, but it's about being your personal best.
Yeah.
That's right. You're providing a platform to allow individuals to come in and be their personal best. Now, granted, some people don't last, agree? And we have that. We have the whole hire slow, fire fast mentality.
Yep.
If they don't cut it, sorry, you don't belong here.
Yep.
And so that's just a given, right? We're not a charity. We just want that organization and a group that are all buying and that we're all working together and we're all contributing to one another's success, right? It's all about the team. It's not about me as an individual. Now, one of the things, and just to really sort of round it out now, mate, we're talking about patience. A bit like you were saying, you got to be prepared for them to make mistakes. We've got to be patient. Now, most tradie business owners, we're not patient, because, and generally that comes on the back of poor planning, poor preparation, everything's reactive. And because they don't communicate well with their clients, they get thrown into things last minute. And it's just this whole go, right? It's on the hamster on the wheel scenario that we're well versed in. But we've got to be patient. And what you're doing is patience. And we talk about a concept within the community, latent potential. There's a really powerful concept on latent potential. And everyone out there listening, you really need to understand latent potential. And latent potential is that when you invest in an individual, often in the tradie mindset, you expect output straight away. You expect things to go upright. If we're looking from a graph, I expect improvement straight away. Whereas latent potential, when you know that, is that things go down. So when we start training and all that investment, you don't get any reward for maybe a month, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. But because we're patient and latent potential, when it then kicks, we really get a big spike in improvement. But unfortunately, most people haven't got the patience to see out the latent potential. And because they're seeing the dip and they say, "Oh, it's not working," they never see a return. They cut it early. And credit to you, mate, with yourself and your team, is that you understand that latent potential and having the patience with the right individual, with the right attitude to see it through, to wait till they spike and really hit their straps. Like, how important is it to have that patience? And again, relating to that latent potential, we're understanding some individuals take a bit longer than others.
Exactly. They've all got their own skill set. So some might be really good return on some things, and some will be slower to pick some things up on other things. I think, I think patience is not just from our team internally; it's from all our partners, our customers, our suppliers. They all understand that an apprentice isn't to be frowned upon, and it's to be encouraged. And they all like give advice and teach. Even our suppliers will ring up privately, ring up an apprentice if they've done an order, and then like guide them through it and teach them and coach them. Builders will stop, and other trades will stop and help out, and just see that reassurance for the apprentices. So it's not just our team; it's the whole framework that we work in, and all our partners.
What's your whole ecosystem?
It's my whole ecosystem that contribute to their success.
That's great. It's good. It's a great way you frame that. I mean, that comes down to the way we do it here, and only dealing with people who have got values that are aligned to yours.
Yeah.
And selecting your A team of support partners very carefully. That again appreciate what you're trying to do on your vision and where you're trying to grow your business. So that again, it is a whole ecosystem there that's supporting every individual to thrive.
Exactly.
Now, mate, this is what I love it. Like I love this, and I love the whole fact of focusing on the individual and really changing the perception of apprentices within the trade space. Now, just to finish up, I was keen to get your thoughts and I suppose your one key takeaway, but given where we are now, coming into the back end of 2021, there is a war on talent. There's not many people around. There's not many skilled people around. It's very hard, would you agree, to get a decent qualified tradesman, electrical tradesman with the right attitude. Agree, Pete? That's a tough gig.
Yep, completely. Yep.
Now, the easiest way, and this is where people need to change their thinking, this is what we're really passionate about, is you've got to build that succession planning from within. You can't rely on anything external, but if you can, like what you're doing, bring a first year on, that first year's trained by the second year, and then the second year becomes the third year, and then next year, that first year becomes the second year, you bring another first year in, and then over 2 or 3 years, by the time 2 or 3, 4 years have gone through that process, you're then pushing out every year good quality tradesmen, right? We're playing a long game here, and this is where business owners, we're playing a long game. You've got to start investing this now to really beat that war on talent, breed from within, build in that succession planning. But as a takeaway, what would your number one takeaway for any listener out there, again, that may be sitting back now, maybe scoffing, going, oh, bloody apprentices. Yeah, right, Pete. That might be different in your world, mate, but not in my world. Apprentices are, they just don't get it. But what would you frame, or what was the takeaway that you'd like to give to those people potentially with the wrong mindset?
I think just slow it down and have a think about it. I think just think about why you're going to put an apprentice on. Don't just put them on for the sake of it. What do you want to achieve with the apprentice? And just once you know that, then you can create the environment for them and the ecosystem. You got to start working on your ecosystem and make sure that everyone's on board. And you're gonna, I don't know, just every little bit matters for them. So just have the lists, like prepare for it. You're not going to go put an admin lady on and say, come in and here's the books, here's a computer, see you later. So the same with an apprentice, have things in place, have processes in place, take your time.
Have an
induction for them. Yeah. Yep. And just don't expect anything if you don't put it into it.
No, it's good. It's great advice. And I think what you're encapsulating there, it's about having showing care and showing compassion, showing empathy for the individual is really important. And one thing that I love what you said, just understand why you're putting an apprentice on. Don't put an apprentice on just for the sake of it. And a lot of people right now are putting an apprentice on just for the sake of it because there's government subsidy, which is so short term and short-minded. And at the end of the day, it really lets down the individual apprentice because there is no plan. There's no real, okay, what is the succession plan or what's the journey and the development for the individual? And generally, it ends up in frustration because people have just gone for the quick cash grab.
The apprentice will see through that too. They're pretty clever. They're going to see through that and they're going to look elsewhere, and then no one wins. So,
they're very clever. I think again, as as business owners, we need to definitely appreciate that we've got some great people there ready to flourish, but we've got to give them the right nutrients.
Yep, exactly.
Well, Pete, good stuff, mate. And we're rolling into the end of 2021. So have an awesome Christmas, champion.
You too. All the best, and look forward to telling you about our next first years when we put them on next year, and
we'll reconnect at the end of 2022 and see how we're going with the next crop.
Yes, exactly. Fantastic.
But thanks for joining us again, Pete.
Okay, thanks, Matt. See ya.